We are back again. Oh, sorry. Did I mess up? Tony. How's
I
it
like it when
going?
you give me the full-blown intro.
How's it going, bud?
What's the ASMR? I think is what it's called. People who like listen to whispering and like soft sounds or something like that. I may have just made up what ASMR is.
ASMR? I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I've heard of it on the side. I've never like actually looked it up, and I know it's like a thing. I don't even know if I'm saying it the right acronym.
ASMR.
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 ASARM.
Watch this if you are stressed. Let me take care of you.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Kind of websites you've been going.
What does ASMR mean in slang? ASMR stands for Anonymous Sensory Meridian Response. It typically refers to the tingly feeling
Ooh.
that travels from the head downward that some experience in response to certain sounds, feelings, or descriptions. So let me know if you're getting some good ASMR from this. Hey,
Sex.
Tony. How's it going, bud?
There's a tingle in my head.
Which head?
Come on, bud. Duh, bud.
The head with one eye or two eyes?
My dick starts whispering. We're not even a minute in.
We're 2 minutes in.
Our dick's already out whispering.
What?
Our dicks are playing telephone.
Oh, wowzers.
All right.
There we
Okay.
There it
got that
is.
knocked out, so.
Oh, wow. We peaked early today.
Alrighty.
That's a sign of things to come.
Blew our load early.
Speaking of those kind of discussions, I ran across a video, and we're going to dive into the Vikings and Eagles in a bit here because that's what we do. But I ran into a video. I saw a video online, and I just think it's something you would enjoy. I think this person said this with us in mind.
How is Tennessee still in this game? Because it's been ugly on the offensive side.
No doubt. There's an old saying I learned a long time ago. Stats are like bikinis. They show some things, but not all things. If you look at the stats, Tennessee should be getting blown out in this game.
Yeah.
2 missed field goals, 3 turnovers. They can't run the football, but because of their defense, specifically that defensive line there in this game.
Dan Orlovsky's face, I feel like, is the perfect face for that reaction. Could you hear what he said?
What did he say?
He said stats are a lot like bikinis. They show some things, but they don't reveal it all.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't think that doesn't quite warrant the like, oh, I can't laugh at this.
Yeah.
out loud. Yeah.
I just think it was a surprising take for sure.
You said it's a surprising take? Or
Yeah,
no?
like you don't hear that every day. Really? You turn on ESPN Countdown and Boomer during his 2-minute drill? Stats are a lot like bikinis. What?
Rumbling, stumbling, tumbling. No,
Doesn't do it for you, huh?
No, that's kind of tame for.
Booger McFarland.
I like Booger. Booger's good. I like.
You
his
like Booger?
spot. Yeah, I do.
Oh,
like
I don't
Booger.
think I've ever heard of a worse analyzer.
There you go.
Yeah.
Go again. Take
Yeah.
2.
I don't think I've ever heard any worse analysis than from Booger McFarland.
Booger McFarland's analysis is like bikinis. Shows a little, but it doesn't give you the whole thing.
It's true. I remember
like Booger.
a few years ago when he was doing the Monday Night Football thing, he had the chair like on the sideline.
The Booger Mobile.
And it was the Minnesota Vikings Seattle Seahawks game. And the Vikings picked off Russell Wilson. It went off a Vikings helmet, went into the Vikings defender's hands, and they ran it in for a touchdown. And he goes, wow, this is amazing play. Because things never happen like this for the Minnesota Vikings. They never get good breaks. Just remember the Minneapolis Miracle that happened against them.
I will say him, and I think Jason Witten was there for a year or two. They were terrible.
Yeah.
They were terrible as color analysts.
Yeah. Sounds funny.
Give me 1 sec. Let me figure out this dog situation.
Look at this. You got a whiny dog. Got a whiny anus. He said he'd take a poop on his carpet.
Yeah.
Is there a dump down there?
Right before. No, I cleaned it up.
Oh, yeah. Look at you.
All right, we leaving that in? Leaving that in? Okay. What are we doing
I'm
here?
okay with leaving it in.
All right, sure.
We'll do it. There's nothing wrong with that.
She found a sock, so she's good for 2 minutes.
Where's the sock?
It was on the floor. My son's socks.
Is it a boy dog or a girl dog?
It's a girl dog.
Girl dog, okay.
She identifies as a girl cat, though.
Meow. Funny. I could ask a random question, but I don't think I'll do it right now. Let's try to keep this PG-13.
Okay.
Do you...
Give it to me, bud. I see the wheels churning in there. There's smoke coming out of your ears.
Do you make any animal noises in bed?
Animal noises?
Animal noises?
No.
Like you bark.
I talk like Scooby-Doo when I come. Craggy.
Scooby snack.
Eat a big sandwich in one bite.
Scooby snack. I think every guy does. Anyway.
I don't think every guy does.
You don't think so?
No. Absolutely not.
Well, the Eagles, they defeated the lowly New York Giants. Daniel Jones got benched. It's not like bikinis. You know, stats don't typically reveal the whole story revolving around Daniel Jones. What's your reaction? Saquon Barkley revenge game? Pounced on his former team? Do you buy into the whole revenge game narrative, or is that a little overrated to you?
No, I definitely buy into it. I think there's always those games that teams have circled on the calendar, the following year.
Yeah.
I think, just like last week, the Niners and the Chiefs and the 49ers playing Super Bowl rematch. So that's going to be a bigger game, whether the Chiefs are playing the Panthers, So I definitely buy into that narrative. I don't think you can let it, affect your weekly schedule, your routine, all that kind of stuff. But you definitely have games you look forward to more. So, no, it's finally good to see the Eagles get like a dominant win. They haven't had one of those in probably a year and a half where they've just gone out and had another slow start, which it's typical now for a Sirianni team. They, for whatever reason, just those first 2, 3, 4 drives in the first quarter, can't really seem to do much, or if and when they do, it's, there's a Jalen Hurts turnover or just something happens. The defense isn't playing well. So it was good to see an all-around performance from them.
For someone that doesn't follow Eagles reporters or the Eagles content on social media anywhere, I should have known. I had to come on the spot because did the Eagles even play this weekend? I didn't see anybody talking about the Eagles this weekend, and the Eagles are to that point where I only see them online if Nick Sirianni does something stupid, right? If there's a stupid play call, well, then it brings out all the national media folks discussing it, talking about it. But if they're going to pounce the New York Giants 28-3, the reason why I had to ask you, because nobody was talking about Nick Sirianni's win. They just want to. He's in that state of his NFL coaching career where he's kind of like an offensive lineman. People are only talking about them if they're doing something completely stupid, and if they have a nice block, well, who really cares?
Yeah, like I said, they had that complete performance. It was a very boring game. It was 28-3, so it's not like they dropped 40, 50 on them. It was just high scoring the whole time. They went up 14-0. Giants kicked a field goal, and then they
I
scored.
thought you said they started slow.
They did. They didn't score their first points till a little bit into the second quarter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think they had 3 drives where they punted in the first quarter, and then maybe 2 of those were 3-and-outs. So it was a slow start. They got going in the second quarter. Saquon had one of his 3 just big runs. I think it was a 50-yarder to kind of set them up. But 14-0, Giants kicked a field goal, and then they scored 14 points to kind of put it away in the second half. But their defense played well. They only gave up 119 yards to the Giants. So it was just all around kind of complete dominance, which is good. And then, I don't know, a good thing, people are saying a good thing came out of the game too, where Nick Sirianni goes up to Saquon at the end of the game and says, "Hey man, you're 13 yards away from your career high. I'd really like to see you get that, especially against your former team." And he says, "But I'm pulling out the rest of the starters. Do you want to stay in?" And Saquon goes, "Nah, let the young." He says something to the effect of like,
Let the young bucks go out there.
The young dogs eat." So some of the rookies. Scooby-Doo comes in with an Eagles helmet, wearing number 1.
He's got the tail between his legs.
Dew on the back of his shirt.
Shaggy's hiking the ball. Velma's blocking.
Velma's the tight end. Fred's QB1. Scrappy is the third down running back.
Daphne's the cheerleader on the side.
So yeah, it was like I said, it was a good kind of just all around game from them. So I would like my head coach to maybe not know in game my running back's career high in yards and trying to just get him that. I feel like that's kind of like I don't know. Let's just play the game. Let's not worry about those kind of stats and whatnot. But I can.
Well, I'm sure someone relayed that to him. I'm sure he wasn't looking up the stats. I'm sure it was someone inside the Eagles organization that relayed that to him.
I can see how that's a good, people see that as like, hey, he's a player's coach. He takes care of his guys, that kind of thing. So I'm not going to complain too much about that. But yeah, I mean, it was finally a good dominant win.
Yeah. The Minnesota Vikings, I can't remember, whenever Adrian Peterson's rookie year was, he had like 296 yards. And there's just a few plays left offensively. And he needed one more yard to have the single game rushing record. And Childress throws him back onto the field. Of course, the fans are yelling for it because the fans know about it. And then he throws him back onto the field. He gets like one more yard on the final play of the game. It gets a single game rushing record. But I'm sure Brad Childress had no idea what that stat record was before the game. I'm sure it was a team PR play where like, hey, by the way, Nick Sirianni, Saquon Barkley is 13 yards away from his singles game record. You want to put him in the game? You want to let him know about it? So I have no problem with that.
Yeah, but I feel like that's like a Madden video game thing. Like, yeah, I'm going to leave Jalen Hurts in and throw his 13th touchdown pass of the game.
Yeah.
In Madden. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit kind of just old school or whatever.
You're old school.
Yeah,
You got
an old soul with me.
you backpacked uphill both ways to school.
20 miles both ways. In
the negative wind chill conditions.
Sleet.
Raining sideways.
Like I said, if I'm complaining about my coach knowing about my running back's career yardage for a game, then, hey, I think it was a good day then.
Well, your team is 4-2. The Washington Commanders are 5-2. Those are going to be some good games coming up.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be interesting because I don't know what Jaden Daniels' status is for the Washington Commanders moving forward. He missed 3/4 of his last game, and Marcus Mariota came in and dominated the Carolina Panthers. But Philadelphia Eagles, Washington Commanders, he played twice, once in week 11 and then another one in week 16. That's going to be a fun one to watch.
So I feel a lot better about this Eagles team than I did 2 weeks ago. The only thing that I guess I would still be a little bit concerned about.
Weary of.
They beat 2 bad teams, and the Browns and the Giants, to get to 4-2. So they squeaked by the Browns, win's a win, and then they
A
dominated.
win's a win.
They dominated the Giants, but they're getting healthy. They got their 3 stars back a couple games ago with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Lane Johnson. So they did kind of hit some of those early season injury struggles, which may kind of correlate with them getting off to a slow start, a 2-2 start. But they're getting some momentum now, which I think is good. So yeah, I think the Commanders are a good team. They still have a bad defense, so I think those 2 games could be kind of just high scoring games. And then the ribs things with Daniels, like that's something that's not going to just be gone. I think I saw that he's week to week, but rib stuff, those things linger.
Yeah.
We'll see.
The Philadelphia Eagles are kind of doing the. Sorry, also I thought you stopped.
No, I was still talking. But
Oh, okay. Just cut you off. Just decided to jump in.
sorry, the start of your sentence interrupted the beginning of my sentence.
Huh? The end of your sentence was interrupted by the beginning of my sentence.
The beginning of your sentence.
Interrupted the end of your sentence.
The middle of my sentence.
Wow, you're finishing up.
I was wrapping it up. Curtain call.
2 minutes. What did you say?
No, I was finished.
Oh, okay. Well, the floor is yours. Whatever you want to say. I'll just shut up.
Welcome to the Tony LaBarbera podcast featuring Minnesota Tim, where all we talk about is Vikings and Eagles.
Did you see the WNBA Finals?
I saw
Finish?
the backlash from it.
Oh, man. Garbage. Told you the Lynx weren't going to win.
The refs stole it.
They did. The WNBA commissioner comes out with a New York Liberty skyline dress after the game. That's a little sketch balls.
Yeah. So I've heard people, I didn't watch the game, but I've heard the backlash. I've read about it and whatnot. Like, what? It's a game 5. You already have the New York Liberty there. You know, I get New York, bigger market, all of that kind of stuff. What does the WNBA gain by having the Liberty win in that situation over the Lynx?
A lot. One, they are the first WNBA franchise established. There's only 12 of them, but they're the first one established 20-something years ago, and they've never won one. They've got the star power, so it's easy to market. You got Brianna Stewart. You got Sabrina, who participated in the men's three-point contest last year. And then you got the big center, Jones, I think is her name. They're a New York team, which is a big deal always in any market. I'm sure that MLB isn't complaining that it's Yankees Dodgers versus Brewers Indians, right? So all of those things factor into play. And then
I get all that. They're already in the finals, though. They're already able to market a New York team.
But if they win the finals, you can market even further.
But how?
I don't know. But there's ways, like commercials following the game. Like if they win the finals, they can put it on poster boards everywhere that they were the 2024 WNBA champions. You can market it, commercial it, do all those things. Sponsorships might roll in a little bit more because they won. I think it means a lot. I don't know. I mean, and then I was going to say something else, but then you interrupted me. Can't remember what it was. Oh, plus think about it this way. I thought of it. If you were an entity, and I don't necessarily blame the WNBA for doing this. If I was the WNBA, I would do the same thing. It just happened against the Minnesota team, so I care a little bit more. If you were an entity, if you were the Tony LaBarbera podcast and you lost $40 million per year, would you try your absolute best and do anything you could do to manipulate it a little bit and help your entity have some success and cut down on the $40 million loss, which, you know, the WNBA is like a subsidized product from the NBA. NBA owners basically own it. I think they do own it, but and apparently they're fired up and tired of the WNBA losing all this money. So you got all this pressure mounting from billionaires about the WNBA losing all this money. They're losing $40 million a year, even with Caitlin Clark being this phenom and drawing more eyes than ever before. And yet you're still losing all this money. So I would do anything I could do and to try to make my entity succeed.
So if I had my own podcast and I was in a podcast tournament to determine the best podcast, and I was already the best podcast going into it, and I had marketability, I had the name recognition, I, talked about the NFL, which is going to get me viewers and listeners and downloads and all that stuff, and I made it to the finals of this podcast competition, I don't think winning it isn't going to get me 100 more downloads or 1,000 more downloads. I don't think there's a big difference as far as this New York team getting to the game 5 and winning it, and then what you can do after that. Like you said, you've already got this once in a generation star in Caitlin Clark. Like, I just don't see the correlation of rigging it for a New York team to win when you're already in the game 5 of the WNBA Finals.
Well, I guess we just agree to disagree then, bud.
I get your points. I do see how you can go through some of that stuff. I just don't see it being of substantial value.
Okay.
As opposed to Minnesota, the Lynx winning, and then you get to market some of the Lynx players. You get to do some of that same stuff. Yeah. You may not have you're promoting New York against, Minnesota, but
right. I think it's more so about the players on the team too. And I think there's something to Brianna Stewart and Sabrina winning a title versus I couldn't name a single player on the Lynx before the playoffs started. Then I watched a few games of the playoffs, Nafisa Color, she can play. Courtney Williams, she can't play. She's garbage. She stinks. But
aren't they already established in that sense of, Sabrina Ionescu, she's been amazing. She's been a kind of household name for a long time, even going back to her Oregon days.
Her and Lucy Lee, for sure.
Yeah. Eating ice cream at 8 years old. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've heard that. That was just kind of the first thought that I had with it is what does the WNBA gain with that? Maybe I'm way off, but
yeah, no, that's an interesting discussion to have, and it's fun it's a fun back and forth.
A zig and a zag.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
like to zag when everyone else is zigging.
Yeah, it's a fun conversation.
So
Minnesota Vikings lost to the Detroit Lions 5-1. Record falls to 5-1. They lost 31-29. Darnold, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Up 10-0, down 21-10. Took the lead again, 29-28. Detroit Lions, field goal, wins the game, seals the deal. Apparently the guy that kicked the field goal was a brick salesman. Just like a year ago. And those are one of my favorite stories.
Yeah.
Pull them off the street to kick a game-winning field goal.
He was selling insurance last week. He had to request a day off from State Farm to come down to First Bank Stadium.
They pulled this guy off the street. It's a homeless man at the homeless shelter kicking cardboard boxes into a tunnel. I was kicking field goals for the Detroit Lions.
He was around one of those fires underneath an overpass, and the GM walks up to him. Hey, bud, get your cleats.
He's got the big hairy beard and bugs going out of the beard.
He's got the 1-bar face mask.
Sorry, it's all I can afford right now.
He's got one shoe. He still has his good kicking shoe.
He's not wearing a shirt.
He's not wearing his shirt, but he still has the football pants on. Just wearing shoulder pads. The little kicker shoulder pads.
He has to go back to his tent.
Yeah.
Let me get my belongings.
Just picks up. All right, I got him.
Do you think you'd be a good homeless man? I've had this thought before.
I think I'd be a good homeless.
I think I'd
man.
be a very good homeless man. I've thought about this before. You know, the pickup. Yeah, I don't know why homeless people don't do this. Maybe they do, and they just don't know it. You know, the pickup counters. You can't do this anymore at Jersey Mike's. They ask you for your name, and then they have to hand it to you. But they used to. You used to just put it right up there, and you could walk in, grab it, and walk out. But Chipotle, they put it right up there. Chipotle, they put it right on the pickup rack, and if you're a homeless guy, you can just walk in there, pick it up, walk out. No one will know. You know, put your hair in a little bun and wear a hat. Find a little deodorant. Don't stink so bad, and you could get away easily. I think I'd be a tremendous homeless man if I was homeless, man.
You could definitely eat well. You could do that very well. I always thought like I would find a brand new dumpster and I would just like trick out that dumpster, you know? Mm-hmm. That would just be my house. I could just like roll it anywhere I wanted to go. I always thought too, if I was a homeless person, I guess I would have to walk. So it would take me a long time. But like,
Might need to call Stu Sakowitz for that.
why doesn't every homeless person just like live at the beach?
Yeah.
Like great weather.
It's like they're homeless or something.
It's like they don't have any money to get places. I think, yeah.
It's like something in their brain must be a little off.
Waking up at the crack of dawn, go in, steal a Starbucks coffee from the line, get my Chipotle, and I'm ready to go for the day.
Sounds like a nice life. I don't know why they complain so much. Why do we see homeless people just complaining? Live wherever you want. Oceanside view. Why don't they put that up on Zillow and see if they can get something for that? How much square feet you got in that place, bud?
America. What's the square footage? America.
I can go wherever I want. No bills, no mortgage, no debt.
What's the electric in the sun? I gotta pay my utility bill. Is that city water or country water? It's the ocean.
How do you decipher the salt? How do you get the salt out of there?
You got free Wi-Fi in that place? Yeah. 5G.
Whatever I want. The one problem I do have is that sometimes the wheel on the garbage can squeaks a little bit.
The one problem I have with being homeless is what? You get so many homeless people's comments in this episode.
Yeah, what the heck, man?
You don't know how hard it is.
How's that free Wi-Fi, bud? How's that square footage? Oh my gosh.
So coming out of that game then, because that felt like a playoff game to me. I was kind of watching that in the background. It honestly like felt like an NFC championship game.
Yeah, it was a good game.
Crowd was rocking back and forth, all of that. It was a very good game. So how do you feel coming out of it? Like I said, we were already talking last week. You weren't a bad 5-0. Like you beat some really good teams. And then that's probably the Lions. They're definitely the best team in the NFC. Maybe sans the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Question mark. Do you feel good? You hung with them. You very well could have won that game.
Right.
It's not like it was a blowout, anything like that. So how do you feel coming out of that?
There's a few things I feel. One, my first reaction was they're never going to go 20-0. One loss is one loss, not a big deal. All right. Big deal. Okay. One loss against the best team in the NFC right now. Okay. Who cares? Two, my second reaction was you can't lose 2 in a row. You can't. You got a short week. You got Rams on Thursday night. Got to beat them. And not that 5-2 is the end of the world, but it can so quickly spiral out of control. And Sam Darnold has been awesome through the first few weeks of the season, but we've started to see him come back to earth a little bit. 1 touchdown, 1 pick against the Lions. He had like 103 passer rating. But you compare that to what he was doing early on in the season, 4 touchdowns against this team. 3 touchdowns against that team. 2 touchdowns here, 2 touchdowns there. So we're seeing him come back to the medium a little bit. But he's still probably doing exactly what we had hoped he'd do at the beginning of the season. The problem is now is that, okay, these games that you're supposed to win, you've got to win these games. Because the Bears are 4-2, the Packers are 5-2, the Lions are 5-1. It's like every single team in the NFC North is right there, and it can so quickly get out of control. And I think that's why this game is important. I would argue that this game against the Rams is almost a must-win game, just because of you don't want to lose 2 in a row and have the doubts and questions. And okay, Sam Darnold, like was it just a flash in a pan kind of thing with the Minnesota Vikings and Kevin O'Connell? Short week on the road at the Rams, and the Rams are playing for something. And they're only 2-4, but the Seahawks are 4-3, so they win 1 or 2 games, and they're right back in the division too. So it's not going to be a cakewalk, and Cooper Kupp's supposed to be back. So I don't think it's going to be an easy game at all. So that's my reaction following that game. 1 loss, not a big deal, but you can't lose 2 in a row. You need to get the band back together, figure it out. And the other thing, maybe you can help me with this. This is also what I'm struggling with, and I don't really quite have a feel for it yet. The Vikings lost 31-29, like we said. Best team in the NFC, were hung right there, had the lead with 2 minutes left. Detroit Lions put a drive together, won the game. A lot of people are saying exactly what we just said. Oh, good loss. We're competitive. Felt like a playoff game. But at the end of the day, it's still a loss against a good team. And it doesn't matter if you lose by 2 or if you lose by 10 points. A loss is a loss. And the Vikings are at home. So, like, big advantage there. They got to go to Detroit next time. And they still weren't able to limit Jared Goff's ability. So, like, good loss, but yet a loss is a loss. Who really gives a damn?
Yeah, but there are good losses and there are bad losses, just like there's good wins and bad wins.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say the Eagles win against the Browns 20-16. That was a bad win. Mm-hmm. A win is a win. Doesn't matter. A loss is a loss. Doesn't matter. But I'd say when you dive into a little bit further, the advanced stats on winning or losing.
When you pull back that bikini a little bit.
It's showing you a little something. You can see a little side boob on this one. It's the Giants the Eagles crushing the Giants 28-3. That's a good win.
Yeah.
So I would say this was a good loss. Mm-hmm. And when you look at your schedule, like I said, you've beat really good teams. You've crushed really good teams.
Right.
You've handled business with the other one, and then you're sticking with one of the best teams in the league, which the Vikings are. Mm-hmm. At this point, we've had enough games, we've gone through enough of the season where, they are one of the best teams. So, yeah, I would say it's you.
I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders though.
The NFC is so soft, though. Aside from the NFC North, Packers, I think you beat the Packers earlier in the year. And I think they are like getting better as the season is going on. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone outside of the Lions are like untouchable.
Yeah, I would agree.
So
yeah.
I could very well see again the Lions and the Vikings in an NFC Championship game, and then you are literally playing to go to the Super Bowl. So,
right.
I think they're contenders.
Okay, I like it. Okay.
Why don't you think they're Super Bowl contenders? Like, what's holding you back? Is it Sam Darnold? Is it something like? Is it the defense giving up what they gave up, kind of showing some cracks in the armor there?
Cracks in the armor.
What is it?
It's Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. Okay.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
I'll preface this with you may have to cut it, but do you remember when Jeremy Lin was going, like he had his little 13 game run or whatever?
Yeah. Linsanity.
Yeah. And I think it was like the first game he didn't score 30 points or he had a bad game or something. And the top headline on ESPN was chink in the armor.
Yeah.
Whenever I say crack in the armor,
that's honestly where my head went too. I was like, ah.
I have to hesitate for a second and not say that because I'm like, I don't mean anything.
I don't think there's anything wrong with chink in the armor, but if it's an ESPN headline about Jeremy Lin, that sounds a little rough.
Asian, yeah.
That's a little tough. It's a tough break for Jeremy Lin.
I remember reading that even as like a 17-year-old and was like, ooh, can't say that.
ESPN has different bosses now. Well, you would have thought that.
So it's Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. Yeah, I think regular season, it's one thing. Playoff football is just a little bit different, bud. That atmosphere, and just the playmaking that you need to make. Not that he can't do it, but if the Detroit Lions was truly a test or a preview of what a playoff game looks like, well, Sam Darnold, he had some good throws and he had some bad throws. And I just don't know if it's going to be enough to get the Minnesota Vikings over the hump in the playoffs to the point where I would be surprised if the Minnesota Vikings won one playoff game with Sam Darnold as the QB1.
Is there anything that he can do? Excuse me. Is there anything that he can do throughout the season? If you guys go 13-4, I guess it is. If you guys go 13-4, he's got 4,000 passing yards, 35 TDs, 10 picks.
Yeah. Well, that might change my opinion.
If he has a great regular season, statistics wise.
Yeah, that could change my opinion. And depending on how the Minnesota Vikings defense plays throughout the rest of the regular season too, maybe Sam Darnold can go out there in a playoff game, go 17 for 21, touchdown, 1 pick, and the defense holds the other team to 3 points. And you win 21-3 or whatever the case may be. It's not that we can't win with Sam Darnold. I just don't think the Vikings will. So,
yeah, I'm just trying to think playoff scenarios. I think that the Lions are going to get that 1 seed and win the division. So then that puts you at the best case scenario 5 seed, which means you're playing the 4 seed, which will probably be someone from the NFC South or maybe even the NFC East. Mm-hmm. Which, if it's usually that 4th seed divisional, the 4th divisional winner isn't super great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I would not be surprised if mid-season the Vikings stutter or have a crack in the armor. I would not be surprised if they lost to the Rams or if they lost to your Doug Peterson's Jacksonville Jaguars. I know it's supposed to get easier, and according to the schedule, it is. At the Rams, home versus the Colts, they have a winning record. At Jacksonville, at Tennessee, at Chicago. On paper, it's like, win, 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 win. I just don't think it's going to go that way. I think the Minnesota Vikings schedule is not revealing the true outcome of how it's going to go. I think we're going to lose not all of those games. I'm not going to say we're going to go 0-5 over the next 5 games, but there's definitely going to be some games where you look at the schedule and say, wow, the Minnesota Vikings are going to win this game, and then they lose it. Like the Rams, the Vikings are favored by 3 points. I would not be surprised if they lost that game. We'll beat the Titans. The Titans suck. Okay, the Titans are garbage. But the Colts, it took your Eagles out of the Sunday Night Football primetime spot. Your game got bounced to 3:15 that afternoon.
I saw that
against the Jags. And I think that's going to be a competitive game. Forrest Gump over here. But
dude, I can see that about the Rams, but the Colts y'all are going to smash. The Jaguars
so? Okay.
are going to smash, and the Titans are going to smash.
Okay.
I see you guys going 4-1 through that stretch.
Okay.
I mean, Anthony Richardson he's the playmaker. He's this, he's that. Yeah, all that stuff. He sucks.
Yeah, he does suck. Joe Flacco gives him a better chance to win.
Yeah, he sucks.
He's inaccurate.
The Jaguars are just all over the place, and then the Titans, they don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then at week 12 against the Bears, even after that, the Bears is like, okay, maybe a so-so game. Cardinals y'all will beat, Falcons y'all should beat, Bears again, Seahawks aren't great, and then you finish with Packers Lions. Like,
yeah.
Is that just the pain of a Vikings sports?
I'm a skeptic.
And Minnesota sports fan.
For sure. I'm definitely more of a skeptic as a fan. But I'd call myself a realist. Yeah, I'm a realist. I like to be objective. I don't think these games are going to be as easy as it looks on paper. That's just my opinion. I just don't think it's going to go as smooth as we think it will. So that's just my take. But you got anything else for me, bud?
I don't know.
We peaked a lot during this pod. There's some sound like a firework that had a little
Black cat.
Huh? Sound like a firework that
Yeah, black cat.
burnt out. That was an ASMR from me, bud.
My butthole whispers into the microphone. Goodbye, Minnesota Tim.
Goodbye, Tony LaBarbara. Oh, what's coming out?
Silent but deadly. Thanks as always, brother.
Thanks, man.